The age of post-materialist superabundance is here. Well, it could be if we behave like adults rather than demonstrating the foresight and systemic planning of Teletubbies. I know getting us to act like grown-ups is a bigger ask than gently requesting Mitch McConnell climb Mount Everest or a staircase. Unfortunately, if we continue down the path we're on, I'll call it the psychopath for now, then all planetary boundaries for life systems will be breached, and we will have successfully ruined the only cool place to hang out for roughly 4,000 light years. And by ruined, I don't mean the music isn't good no more. I mean, there's no food to eat. And I just think life is better with food. I know, I'm a bougie bitch. But like I said, there's another path, one with superabundancy, security, and a future that's like, rather than, it burns. Journalist and show-off smarty pants Nafeez Ahmed put the ideas together well in his recent writings. He says, the empirical data shows unequivocally that if we took the pure forecasts of material trends and imagined that we deployed them rationally without weird hang-ups like nationalism, incumbent barriers like nationalism, self-flagellating narcissism like Trump, or regressive self-defeating culture wars, trans story time will be the death of us all. I stand by that. We have the ability to rapidly transition to a new ecological civilization that could provide abundant energy, materials, food, transportation, Cinnabons, and knowledge to all without hurting the earth. I added Cinnabons because why not? This looks like a new human Earth system in which humans stop seeing themselves as separate from each other and from the planet, but finally recognize ourselves as integrally interconnected with each other as part of the Earth herself. We are as much part of the Earth as conjoined twins are part of their tetherball league. Little known fact, conjoined twins, excellent tetherballers. In all honesty, humanity is at a fork in the road, and luckily one of the prongs or tines or paths or legs, if a fork had legs, that sounds disgusting. Anyway, one of the sides of the fork is really awesome. The looming obsolescence of the industrial order is part and parcel of a civilizational scale metamorphosis in which a whole new human system is emerging. You see, the current industrial order is collapsing or fading away quickly. And bloodthirsty clowns like Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, Howie Mandel are accelerating it. But they aren't the cause of it. This all-encompassing phase shift could look like horrific societal collapse where we all hoard guns and tuna, or maybe guns that shoot tuna. That would be, no, what would the point of that be? God, I am a terrible inventor. I've always, like, my best invention was a carsicle. It was a bike attached to the roof of a car so the bike rider could go like way faster. But then I realized most people would probably just choose to ride in the car part of the carsicle, and anybody riding on the bike would get slammed into a low bridge at 70 miles per hour. Then it's a carsicle, but spelled differently. Anyway, humans very well could take the awful path of the fork in the road, societal collapse, continuing to breach the last three planetary boundaries until there's no hope for survival. And millions of years from now, maybe a new intelligent species that looks like an octopus wearing glasses will marvel at how quickly and effectively capitalism killed us all. But how would they get the glasses to stay on? Alternatively, we could take the path of a breakthrough, a reinvention, a rebirth of the way humans relate to the planet and to our future. I'm rooting for that one, even if we're covered in gooey afterbirth. Industrial civilization appears to be moving through the last two stages of its current life cycle, breakdown and renewal, similar to Peter Thiel before he sheds his exoskeleton and thousands of Peter Thiel larvae hatch out of his brain pupa. Every fundamental technological system that defines civilization, energy, transport, food, materials, and information is experiencing a phase transition in which incumbent industrial age technologies are on track to being outcompeted and replaced by a new set of technologies across all these sectors. Think about it. Green energy, bullet trains, EV, autonomous vehicles, hydroponic farming, cheaper desalination processes, quantum computing, and of course, AI girlfriends or boyfriends that won't talk over you so much and at least pretend to enjoy watching sci-fi things with dragons in them. Is that too much to ask, Catherine XV79000? When I'm really mad at her, I call her by her full name. And the old school fossil fuel-based societal operating system, or OS, is antiquated and struggling to hang on to power. The petro world is dying, and the petrodollar along with it. But can we create a new operating system before the old one destroys our planet's ability to support us? That's the question. Our current OS is aimed at maximizing human consumption, aka materialism. How can we achieve the most materialism for the most people for the greatest number of hours per day? In layman's terms, people gotta buy, use, and shit out loads of stuff all of the time, never pause or waver. That's the driving motivation of our society? Each corporation wants to figure out how to get more people using their products more often. The companies that are always growing, like a cancer, win the game. The ones that aren't always growing lose. Wait, but isn't cancer bad? Gary, is cancer bad? You know what? Look it up, Gary. I want a report on my desk. I'm not going to read a whole report. I want a paragraph on my desk tomorrow. A sentence tomorrow. Is cancer bad? This OS is simply incapable of managing a new system that is inherently networked, distributed, and participatory, and that must respect planetary boundaries. Let me translate. Our current societal operating system blows. I also would have accepted sucks balls or eats dirty dung piles. I'll give an example. With hydroponic farming, food, let's say tomatoes, could be grown locally and organically using 90% less water and 100% less soil than old methods. Right now, there is drought in many areas around the world. U.S. farmlands right now are struggling. They look like Clint Eastwood's upper thighs. I just assume he doesn't moisturize, but I could be wrong. Plus, with hydroponics, tomatoes would not need to be flown around the world and trucked across the country using loads of resources, specifically fossil fuels. Your tomatoes shouldn't speak 3 different languages, is what I'm saying. These local tomatoes could then be given to people for as their needs require. Instead, right now, the guy with millions of dollars might buy 10, 20 tomatoes a week, flown in from China, of course, eat only 2 of them, then throw all the others away, because who cares? Buying more than he needs and throwing them out is not a problem to him at all. All the problems with it are externalized, dumped onto others and the environment. Meanwhile, the portion of the population who are poor might only be able to buy 1 or 0 tomatoes. And instead, they either eat cheap junk food or go hungry. In our incredibly efficient system, the United States discards more food than any other country, nearly 60 million tons, 120 billion pounds every year. That's estimated to be almost 40% of the entire U.S. food supply. Our system is insane. It's ludicrously wasteful. It's ridiculously exploitative and abusive. It rewards cancerous corporations and promotes unhinged sociopaths to the top. This is an antiquated, outdated, and offensive OS, which stands for Orange Sorbet. Wait. Operating system. I meant operating system. This operating system is like trying to run NASA mission control on an Atari game console. Really? Going after Atari, Lee? Way to hit a man while he's down. But we have the answer. It's staring us in the face. We know the solution. A new operating system. Not materialism, not capitalism, not consumerism. We are on the cusp of a giant leap in our material capabilities as a species, but we are in danger of aborting that leap, falling into a new dark age, if not into total collapse. If we attempt to take the leap from within the outmoded framework of the old industrial OS. And the only way I'm going back to the dark ages is if I get to wear one of those little man skirts. It looks kind of fun, doesn't it? I mean, I just kind of want to do the Marilyn Monroe. Woo! Dear me, it's windy. Ooh. But yes, we're trying to make this tremendous leap from an outmoded OS. It's like trying to play in the NBA while wearing your shoes from elementary school. All of a sudden, one of the best basketball players in the world can barely walk. Humanity is trying to take an unprecedented jump in our capabilities while wearing shoes from when we were 7 years old. We need new shoes, which at this point, I'm 80% sure is a metaphor for systemic change. How we choose to design these material systems is, of course, not just about materials. It's also about what we value, about what we are really committed to. And for more on this topic, let's talk to the creator of the Zeitgeist film series, the inspiration for the Zeitgeist movement, and the smartest guy I've ever met, Peter Joseph. Hey, Peter, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Great to have you here. So we're seeing unbelievable leaps forward in energy, transport, food, materials, even information transfer. We're witnessing kind of a planetary phase shift out of the industrial age systemic structure. And even though we live technically in a post-scarcity world, these leaps are being chained down or kneecapped by our economic structure. Do I have that right?
Well, as I've always said, efficiency, conservation, these are enemies of market capitalism. So the more efficient we become, the more we move towards things we could call post-scarcity, the more the system gyrates to manufacture new problems to keep money moving, right? I think it was John Maynard Keynes in the 1930s who appropriately predicted, in fact, even though people can disagree with some of his logic, he said, you know what, by the time of, around now, people probably will only work like 5 hours a week because we will have transitioned the system of appreciating a post-scarcity lifestyle where people don't need to all live in mansions. There will be a basic sense of egalitarianism, a basic consideration of others, a basic consideration for the planet, and then everyone will have a balanced life using technology efficiently. This is after the Industrial Revolution, where a lot of people were theorizing this kind of thing. But no, people like Edward Bernays came into the corporate structure, commercial advertising, decided to pervert everything, and not just because for money and profit in the explicit sense of gain, but because that's what the system requires. It's an infinite growth system. So the more efficiency we create, the more you have to compensate for the loss of sales because of that efficiency.
Thanks a lot, Peter.